Hi, welcome to my session 4 comes first about unlocking the potential of citizen development in your organization. In this short 25-minute session, we are going to talk about how you as an organization can create a maker culture, make your citizen development thrive, and lessen the burden on IT to really go forward and tackle new ideas. My name is Marijn Somers, and if you ever wondered how you would pronounce my name, it's called Marijn Somers. I'm an IT consultant doing Office 365, creating video material, but mainly I'm doing a podcast called Office 365 Distilled together with Steve Dolby. I know Steve is running around somewhere at Comes First. He's there live. So feel free to give him my regards when you see him. Also go to his session. I'm sure it's going to be a good one. So let's talk about citizen development. And before we can start talking about citizen development, we need to talk about shadow IT. Because shadow IT has been around for forever actually. It's where people start creating access databases or Excel macros, things like that. Things that really help the business forward but are not supported by IT, and then they become business critical, and at some point you need to move on and you need to detect those things and rewrite and all kinds of problems. So what we actually have is a possible target for privacy issues, for hacks, for issues that might put the business in harm's way. So without governance, without guardrails for these applications, we will have all kinds of problems, like less application adoption, no knowledge sharing about the application. So some person created it at some point, he left the company, and now nobody's there to support it anymore. So ultimately, this gives our developers and IT people more work to fix those issues. Now, we can actually try to stop those things from happening like we've always tried, but we could also try to embrace those people and bring them into the fold. So if we make those people an asset instead of a liability, there are tons of benefits. Like we could improve development speed, we could improve efficiency by giving people an easy drag and drop platform where they can just create their own applications. We can actually shift IT resources to the projects that really matter, that are really critical to have like deep IT knowledge in. We can actually harness innovation at the forefront where people are actually having issues where they need to do like the same thing every week and it's taking them hours. So that's where we can really see some benefits for organization happening. We can create happier employees by supplying them with tools that actually work, that can change the way they do their work with their changing business needs. So we can reduce the risk of unsupported applications, and we can improve our business agility with those changing business needs. We can actually inspire and upskill employees if they are becoming citizen developers. We can learn them a new skill set and they might become re-inspired to actually benefit our organization even more. And we can reduce IT costs and overhead because we may not have to buy some kind of application, or we don't need to outsource work. So it's less complex in those cases. If you're not convinced, Forrester did a study last year about the economic impact, and they reached the conclusion that bringing in citizen development with the Power Platform actually gives you a 500% ROI. So show this study to the managers and they will definitely be on board. Now, before we jump into how your organization can support those citizen developers, we need to talk about three things. The first thing we need to do before we can start is we need to have management buy-in. We need to make sure that we've got that executive sponsorship, that our managers are on board with this plan. We need them to see the benefits of it. We need them to allocate some budget for this to become a success. The second step is we need to have some IT and business alignment. Yeah, the business needs to know that we from now on have an extra layer of tools and people that can actually solve their business needs, even if they're not big. It's no longer, IT is no longer the big department of no, but we can actually make things happen now. The same goes for IT. IT used to be the place where people went to with all their IT questions. Now, because we're adding that extra layer of citizen developers, they also need to understand their new role in the whole ecosphere of work. So IT can really become a partner of the business by doing this. And the third one is you need to choose the right platform. And that can be just one platform, could be multiple platforms. It really needs to be a platform that your organization can support, that you're already building in. So the Power Platform might be the right platform. You might also incorporate another thing if you've got, for example, some specific software that runs in a different environment and they also provide some kind of low code, no code capability. It might also be useful to also take a look at that as an extra thing, as an extra platform for your organization. Now, let's dive into the really basic thing of my session is how can you as an organization support that citizen development. And for me, that boils down to 4 major steps. First one, create a maker culture. Culture eats strategy for breakfast, so get that culture right. Second step, make sure that your citizen developers know what they're doing. Make sure that they've got the knowledge to actually build those things. Third one, set up processes and boundaries. Set up those guardrails so that they can't go wrong, so that they know how far that they can go, and other applications don't fall down. Fourth one is provide guidance for them to actually make it a smooth experience and to go where boldly go where no one has ever gone before. So guide them into that maker culture. All right, let's tackle those things. First one, creating a maker culture. So what you need to do first if you want to start with low code, no code development is you need to find people that might be great makers. And there are a few ways how you can do that. Actually, the easiest way is actually to look at people that have already been building shadow IT. So those people that have been building those Excel macros, those access databases, those whatever automations, platforms, applications. So look at those people, because those people have proven to be willing and to be able to create something that the business wants and that the business needs and that the business can use. You can also organize some internal events like a hackathon, something like that, where you actually say, okay, we're doing innovation, and because of that innovation, we want to put some people together, IT people, business people, and put them in little groups and let them start tackling an issue that we have, where we normally don't want to go, or that we don't want to do, that is too intensive or too small. Let's build those things. So those people that you can find, you need to empower those people, because those people will be your first group of makers. Those will be your ambassadors, your champions that can really make everything work. Now, the next step, make those people visible. Stickers is a great thing to do. Stickers that they can put on their laptop, T-shirts are also great. Just make them visible within your organization so that the business knows that they can ask questions to those people if they've got business needs. Use carrots, not sticks. Draw them in with the promise that they can start building things that really matter. Don't push them in and say, now you need to do that, because that never works. So look at people in your organization that really embrace change, that are always on the forefront of new things, that always have the new, gadgets or things. People that enjoy learning new stuff, people that know what the business needs, that are friendly, empathic, that people want to talk to, that can define a good solution to make it work, to people that know how to Google. I think that's the number one skill here. People that know how to search for something online and find a good answer or a good solution to something. So you need people that are passionate about the business, people that are already providing that innovation within your organization, and people that really can thrive as an early adopter. Now, next up, you need to encourage experimentation. So you need to make sure that they want to start building all kinds of stuff. So you really need to have IT for that as well. So you can organize hackathons, have design thinking in your organization. That's a new way of handling and tackling business ideas. Organize innovation labs, or have a skunk works, or have a garage like Microsoft has their Microsoft garage, where people can go in and tinker with stuff. So that always works. And give them a boundary to work in, like it's called a community of practice or community of excellence, where you have your makers and you have IT people coaching those people in order to build really cool stuff. And then you've got your subject matter experts, which are people from the business that actually bring those business needs to the table, and top that off with a program leader or a governance board that defines the outlines and the guardrails of your platform. Host a community. Do that in Yammer, do that in Teams. Make it open so that there's a low barrier to entry. Showcase where they can showcase and celebrate their successes, where they can share ideas and their results, where they can network with other people, where they can ask questions, where they can find new projects to work on, and bring cookies or bring pizza if it's an evening event, or croissants if it's a morning event, whatever you want to do. So bring something to munch on, bring some beers, always works, always a good idea. Now, second step is you need to build the knowledge of those people. So first of all, you might want to build some competencies around the future of work, around digital literacy, if they don't already have that. Citizen development proficiency. What does it mean to be a citizen development developer? What can I do? Second, give them technical training around, in this case, Power Platform. Make sure that they know how to use Power Automate, Power Apps, Power BI, things like that, so that they know what kind of tools are available, but that they also know how to build stuff in there as well. And then you might also want to think about adding some kind of certificate or a driver's license, because you may not want to have everyone in your organization start building applications and rolling those out. You might want to have like a baseline of people that understand what the Power Platform can do and what it can't do. The third pillar that you might want to have is the extra bits, like what are best practices? Give them continuous training, skill sharing, give them a feedback loop so they can start doing new ideas. But you might also want to do something like that, design thinking, like agile concepts in there, so that they know how to be the most productive while building applications and automations for the organization. Third step, set up processes and boundaries. So look at the goal. Where do we want to end up? We actually want to build something that the organization can use. We want to build stable applications that are supported by IT and that have learning material. We want to have automations that we can depend upon when they go wrong, that we know about it going wrong, and reports that are always clear. And so just the things that we as an organization can really benefit from. So not everything that we have in our organization should be built by citizen developers. So talk scope, talk cost to develop, cost to maintain, who's going to own it, what are the risks to build it, what's going to be the life cycle, the audience, things like that. And you can actually bring or create a form for this, like a simple Microsoft form where every business owner needs to talk about, okay, this is something that we want to have. So what is the problem that it solves? What are we doing today and what's going wrong with it? Who's going to use it, the new application? How many times is it going to run? Is it just going to be 2 times a year or 2 times every day by 1,000 people? If it doesn't work or it stops working, what's the damage? Do we need training material? Is it going to be just for us internally, or is it also going to be, is it going to talk to our customers or suppliers? Who's going to support the application when it's done? If we want to have something extra added to it, who's going to do that? And who's going to look at quality control? So depending on those answers, you might say, okay, this is going to be built by our citizen developers, or this is going to be built by IT, or we might even buy something. Next up, you also probably want to track the work that's been done. So planner might be good for this. So who's working on what project? Where are we in this project? What are the costs? What is the ROI that we think is gonna happen? What are the technologies that we're using? What are the APIs that we're talking to? So at some point, if we're gonna update that API or we're gonna do something else, that we know what applications are gonna fail. So you actually need to make sure that there's feedback for IT so that they know what's being built. So you need to define some kind of governance. You can start with baseline governance and just see how far your citizen developers can go. What are the accounts that they can use? What are the environments that they can play in? What are the third-party integrations that we have? Things like that. So just that we can make sure that those people can do their best work within a certain boundary. And one of the things that really works is this Gartner chart. I really love this. So on the X axis, it gives you like the things that you can do, like CRUD, which is create, read, update, and delete. Is it going to be a workflow? Is it going to be an automation? Or is it going to be all of that? And on the Y-axis, you've got, is it just for one person or a small group or a department or an enterprise? And then you will see the green layer actually saying, okay, this is a safe zone. Your citizen developers can do that. If it's going to be in the yellow zone for more people or heavier, you might want to co-create that together with IT. If it's going to be red, like for the whole organization, you might want to implement some IT oversight. And if it's black, if it's like a big application for the whole organization, then it should be off limits and it should go into the IT portfolio. So there are 3 common approaches for this. So the first approach for your governance, for your citizen development, is it could be an agile team, like a little team that you create that works autonomously and with people, IT people, business people that are really driven to be adding value to the organization. Yeah? It's very agile, but the problem with this is it doesn't scale. The second approach is that you might want to have self-service. So everybody in our organization can create something based on policies. We implement guardrails and just everyone can do something, and you're really controlling the what and not the who. Yeah. And the third one is that federated model that brings us back to that community of practice, community of excellence, where you kind of have a federated model where you combine agile teams to go a little deeper and broad democratization with that center of excellence, managing the platform and implementing those guardrails and support. So set up processes, set up those boundaries, track everything, report everything, what is going well, what's not going well, what is working, what's not working. There's an example that I have from a few organizations that I work with, and they say, for example, okay, everybody in our organization can create their own automation in Power Automate. So it runs in their own personal name. We are not supporting it from IT, but everybody can build like small things whenever they want to. And if it's something that is for a larger group, that is slightly more difficult, or for a bigger audience, that is something that we are gonna do, and we're gonna use Azure Logic Apps for that, for example, and then we're gonna run it under a service account, and then we are gonna support it as an IT standpoint, or as an IT organization. So I think that really works very well. I like how that works. So my takeaway tip to close this short session down is set up a center of excellence. Look at how you might want to incorporate citizen development, how you can put in some guidelines, some policies, so that those citizen developers really know where they need to go and what they can do. Let them report to some internal stakeholders. Always maintain best practices. You can find a lot of those. You can create your own, depending on what kind of organization you are. If you're an engineering company, if you're a bank, if you're whatever, large organization, small organization, look at how things need to run in your organization. Offer app review. So if somebody built something, make sure that you've got IT people that can actually take a look at it and make sure that they can get rid of the kinks or get rid of some risks that might be involved in the way that your citizen developer has created it. Catalog and the APIs that are being used within your organization to make sure that upgrades go very smooth. And take a look at your application lifecycle. Look at approval processes. If you have any security concerns, take a look at that. If you need to take a look at compliance, how are you going to test things? What's your change management going to be? How are you going to handle adoption and learning and training? Take a look at how, when things go wrong, who's going to support it, and how are you going to support those things? And take a look at whatever you have right now in order to uplift the rest. So with that, I would like to thank you for being in my session, and I hope you have a really nice rest of your ComSpheres. Thanks. Ciao.